This is Daryl with Cisco Hands-On Training. It's the 22nd of March 2009, and today we're going to talk about iOS DHCP and NAT. The website is ciscohandsonttraining.com. In iTunes, search on Cisco Podcast. As always, I appreciate if you link to the webpage. If these podcasts are useful to you, that's the best way that you can thank me. We're doing something completely different today. We're going to do a hands-on exercise. We're going to do it actually with my production home network. I have a cable, actually a cable gateway, and that connects to an airport time capsule, which is acting as my internal house router. And I have a public IP address on that time capsule, and then it offers 10 net DHCP on the inside. And normally you'd connect your computers in the house either to the time capsule directly or via wires or over wireless. What I'm going to do today is I've taken that 2621 with two fast Ethernet interfaces, and I've connected one port to the time capsule, and I'm connected the other port to my iMac, and what we're going to do is we're going to try to configure it as a router for the house. Not that we're accomplishing anything by doing that other than as a configuration exercise. So the first thing we need to do is get a WAN IP address on the router, and I want to actually get it via DHCP. So I'm going to show how to make the router a DHCP client. Here I have the router, and it is, I just erased the config. So conft int fast 0/1 IP DHCP IP address question mark, and you notice there's another option here, DHCP. No shut. And show run int fast 0/1, and didn't seem to like the command. Says it's already running on the interface. Maybe it's I don't know. Show IP int fast 0/1. Maybe it was default had DHCP enabled. I don't know. In any event, it learned the IP address 10.0.1.2/24 via DHCP, and just make sure I got a. Yeah, you can see I have a very basic config here. I don't have that IP address configured at all, but it went ahead and learned it via DHCP. Let's do a show IP route. I don't have a default route here. So at this point, I've learned the IP address 10.0.1.2, but I have not learned a default route, so I assume I'm not going to be able to ping anything out on the internet. Let me ping a well-known DNS server out on the internet. And I cannot ping it because I don't have a default route. Okay, well, I will manually set up a default route here. And now I can ping the outside world. Okay? So I got my IP address via DHCP, and I did not pick up a default route via DHCP, and so I had to statically configure the default route to be the next hop, and my router is operational, at least on that side. Now let's configure, the next thing we want to do is configure the IP address on the inside and make the router a DHCP server for the inside. So conft int fast0/0 IP address 192.168.1.1 285.285.285.0 no shut, and then we want to make this a DHCP server. So IP DHCP pool DHCP pool, or I'll call it test pool, or D pool. And now we have some options. Network 192.168.1.0/24. And when you're a DHCP server, you give out, you want to identify what network you want to serve DHCP on, but you also want to serve up the DNS information. So DNS-server, and there's a open, I think this is from opendns.com, which is they have a public DNS server that they let people use, so let me configure it. And in addition, any hosts on this net need to be configured with a default route via DHCP. So the default route I want to be 192.168.1.1. Okay, so show run pipe begin DHCP. And here's the config I came up with: IP, DHCP pool, D pool, network, I've got the network, DNS server, I've got the default router. Okay, and here you can see the system preferences on my Mac, and you can see my IP address is inside the pool, 192.168.1.3, and it knows the default router is 192.168.1.1, and it's learned via DHCP the DNS server 208.67.222.222, and let's see if I can get out ping 208.67.222.222. So I can't get out onto the internet, and why is that? I've gotten my DHCP information, but the answer is that this time capsule up here does not have a route to 192.168.1.1. So from my Mac, I know my default router is here, and I send the packets. So I need a route on the time capsule to say, for traffic going to 192.168.1.1/24, the next hop should be 10.0.1.2. But the problem is the time capsule is not really designed to be configured like a Cisco iOS device, so I can't just go and configure a static route on the thing. So the alternative is to set up NAT. So on this router, I set up a, what I want is when I have traffic outbound, I want to NAT it into this subnet here, and the time capsule knows how to get to this subnet. So let's go ahead, we've completed our DHCP configuration, let's get into our NAT configuration. So what we need to do is, we need, in NAT, you have a concept of an inside and an outside. So the outside is over here on 10.0.1.2, and the inside is 192.168.1.1. So I'm sorry, the outside is fast Ethernet 0/1, the inside is fast Ethernet 0/0. We need to tell the router what is outside, what is inside, and then what IP address is on the inside to NAT to what IP address is on the outside. So conf t int fast0/1 IP NAT outside, int fast0/0 IP NAT inside. We've now told it the what is outside and what is inside, but we need to tell it what to NAT into. So IP NAT pool NAT pool 10.0.1. Now I need to pick some IP address ranges for the NAT pool here, and I'm going to go ahead and just do 30 through 40 in this net. So the pool is 10.0.1.30, 10.0.1.40, so I'm going to have 11 addresses in the pool. And net mask, it's a /24, so the net mask is /24. And there we are. So that's the pool. And then IP NAT side source list 1. So what we need to do next is we need to tell it what IP addresses on the inside do we want to NAT. And the way we're going to tell it the IP addresses is with an access list. Oh, and we need to tell it what pool to go into. So, or we could just specify the interface for a global address. And actually, I think let's go ahead and try that. So IP NAT inside source list 1. We're going to create access list 1 and tell it what IP addresses to use. That's the sort, or what IP addresses to NAT. And then the outside we'll NAT it into the interface fast Ethernet 0/1 IP address, and then we're going to overload it, meaning we're going to allow multiple IPs to, we're going to allow multiple source IPs on the inside to use the same outside IP address. And let's see if our pinging is working. Oh, we need access list 1. Access list 1. And then for access list 1, I could, let's go ahead and specify this whole subnet here. Permit 192.168.1.0, 0.0.0.255. Again, these are don't care bits or wildcard bits, so by this we mean that the first 3 octets need to be 192.168.1 because we care about all the bits, and then the last octet can be anything because we don't care about all the bits. At this point I believe our NAT configuration is complete, and let's see if that's working for us. And now you can see that from my box on the inside, which is in the 192.168 net, I have config 192.168.1.3. I can ping that DNS server out there. And in fact, let's go ahead and show IP NAT translation. You can see we have a lot of NAT translations here, and a lot of them are pings. So here are some NAT translations, and you can see we have our inside global, the inside local IP, the real IP address of my host on the inside is 192.168.1.3, and that gets translated to 10.0.1.2 because I'm translating, with the way I have it configured to the interface, it's NAT translating into the IP address of the interface. And the outside IP address, Here's one. Here's one of that open DNS server. So 208.67.222.2.22, port 53. 53 is the DNS port. This is UDP protocol. So you can see the NAT configuration is working. Let's review the config. Let's review exactly what we did. So I configured a DHCP pool, and I specified what DNS server people go to and the default router. And the default router is what's advertised in the DHCP responses given out to the DHCP clients. And then I've defined my NAT inside interface and my NAT outside interface. And you can actually have more than one NAT inside interface and more than one NAT outside interface. And the NAT only applies to traffic which is traversing from an outside to an inside or from an inside to an outside. Now I created a NAT pool, but I didn't actually use it. Instead, I just did IPNAT inside inside source list 1, so any IP addresses that match this access list would be natted, and then the destination, I'm natting it into the IP address of my outside interface, and I'm overloading, so that way I can have multiple clients on the inside use the same outside interface. And that was it. So that's how to configure a we've configured the box. In fact, the other part of this, we configured our box as an well, you don't see it here, but I configured IP address DHCP on interface fast Ethernet 0/1, and it appears that that's the default when you have no IP address, at least with this particular OS version, iOS version. Let's hold on for a second. Here's that website for OpenDNS.com, which publicly makes that DNS server available. And since I use them, I thought I'd just give their website a plug. And let's